Hey everyone, I'm Priscilla, and last year when I was in 8th grade, now I'm in 9th grade, I went with a few of my classmates to the conference about global issues in Beijing. I'm Costa Rican American, and I've been at JIS for about 3 years, and in the whole time that I've been an international school student, I don't think I've ever had quite a great experience. A few days after we got back from the conference, this was a reflection I wrote about what I felt. I learned more about being a global citizen in 3 days than I have my whole life. I've used the phrase global citizen repeatedly since I moved to an international school, but I never really had a solid understanding of what it was. Now I know it's an individual who acts unselfishly in the interests of the rest of the world, what we must become. I've always gone through my life feeling sorry for the little children in Africa who don't have anything to eat, which was always my collective term for people suffering an impoverished life. I've seen Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth and National Geographic documentaries and have been fully aware of the dangers of climate change and other environmental issues. I've been aware about these issues and so much more, but until I went to this conference, I didn't really feel compelled to do anything. Someone else can, was my general attitude. But now I've realized that we, as young people, have the greatest responsibility. We inherit the earth. We are the future. In fact, as more globally aware, privileged international school students, we may have the greatest responsibility of all. Now I know that we must do something as soon as possible. It's incredibly urgent. Just take the 30,000 children who die of poverty every day as an example. Every few seconds costs lives. We can't simply wait for someone else to solve this issue, as well as so many others. Even in church I learned that not doing anything about a problem is a sin. And not only do I realize the importance of doing something about global issues, I've also learned that there is so much we could do, it's overwhelming. Where do I begin? We may be young, but we're far from powerless. I learned so much from Austin, a 9-year-old with a passion to help AIDS orphans. We met him at the conference, and he's now 13. He was small, but that didn't stop him from starting an organization to raise money, which would soon spread nationally and later globally. It's inspiring to see how someone our age could have such a passion for people he'd never even met. And if one single person with what seemed to be minimal influence, because this was a 9-year-old, if he could do so much, make such a big impact, can you imagine what could be accomplished in a group? We can make a difference.
All right. Yeah. So my question for you guys is what do you recall from the conference back in April? And since it's now 4 months later, and you're 9th graders now, and what sort of steps are you taking this year that you might not have taken, but you went to the conference and you sort of became a little bit more educated about issues?
Okay, well, as we started the 2020
right.
Club,
Yeah.
and the name 2020 came from basically Jean-Francois Richard's book, 20 Global Issues, 20 Years to Solve Them. And the issues we really focus on are education for all. And what we're planning to do in that club is really hold a mini conference where we can spread service learning to local schools, and we're planning that for the future. And as a fundraiser, we've taken away some ideas from the conference. Basically, we're going to have what some people like to call a walkathon, a swimathon. We're going to include all of those and have basketball shooting and badminton, which will work somehow. And those are all of our long-term plans for now.
Yeah, and last year when we got back from Beijing, one idea that really stuck to us was the fact that 30,000 children die a day because of poverty. And so that's like one every 2-3 seconds, so like that. And so we started, we got the idea from Mr. Smith and Miss Sills to order these wristbands, and on one side they say 30,000 too many, and on the other side, be the change. And so we ordered a few hundred, and we sold them.
I think it was 1,000, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
1,000.
I think we ordered 1,000, and we started selling them through the school, and so that kind of raised awareness. And then we organized like a fundraising concert, and I think it was a pretty good success.
Continuing from the 2020 Club, The difference is that we're also going to branch out to other National Pluses schools, so we could work with them too. So it's not only us that's tackling the problems Indonesia, which is kind of a lot. So instead, we're going to work with other schools to help all the local people in understanding what's really going on around them.
And the National Plus schools, can you describe those? What they are?
National Plus is like schools that aren't as like international as JIS. Most of the students are Indonesians, but the main language being taught is English.
Right.
Okay. Hi, I'm Annie Bork. I'm a 9th grader at Jakarta International School, and last year in April I went to the Global Issues Networking Conference in Beijing. And these are my initial reflections from 4 months ago, and they're very real and true, and also very 14-year-old. So, this conference has made me realize that I'll still be alive in 20 years, and I'll only be 34. Before, well, global issues were a part of my life, but to be honest, they weren't really a part of my life at all. But being 34 is an actual, tangible moment in my future, and I can see it being affected by these issues. The strongest reaction it has dredged up is this: I'm extremely pissed off. They've condemned my whole generation into a lifetime of community service. That is, if we really want to fix these problems. And I don't know if there's any 34-year-olds out there, but when I'm 34, I don't know what the world is going to be like. I don't know if there are going to be riots over water, or I don't know, World War III or anything. And it makes me really want to get up and solve these issues. It's made me realize I want to be responsible for the solution. Thank you.
My question to you guys is, what, if anything, are you involved with now as a result of that conference, and what are your thoughts 5 months later about the JIN conference in Beijing that we attended?
Well, first question, we started a club called 2020, which tries to educate and tackle global issues, and it's still in very rudimentary stages, but we're also planning on maybe a small conference here in Indonesia, but don't take my word for it because we're still in the planning stages.
And so I guess the big difference between 4 months ago and now is that 4 months ago we were just learning about how we can actually try contributing into helping and solving these global issues. And at that time, of course, like Annie said, we were angry at all these past generations who has and put all these responsibility for us to solve these issues. But now I guess what we have in mind is to actually take action. What can we do? What to do now? And that's why we created the 2020 Club. And we're also going to do a fundraiser, which is kind of like the Hoops of Hope, an organization that we were introduced to in the conference.
Yeah.
Excellent. And Uni, introduce yourself.
Oh, and I'm Uni. I'm Japindo, Japanese Indonesian, and I'm a grade 9 at JIS, Jakarta International School. And I also attended the conference with Annie. And
she's also the class president.
Oh, yes. Okay.
All right. Excellent. Thanks.
No problem.
All right. Awesome.